Hey, I'm Michelle Borquez.
I'm Shelly Ballestero.
And we are excited to be bringing you Bella Gifts.
Beautiful gifts.
Beautiful gifts, great treasures for you, for the princess that you are.
Yes, royalty, because we are princesses. Young or old.
That's right.
Je n'ai pas pu te prendre, partir trop loin de toi.
So we met, Shelly, you and I met when we actually did a show together.
Yes.
And the cool thing about our connection and when we met was just, I mean, we immediately connected.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is our background. It's just where we've both been as teenage girls. And I mean, do you think that's...
Get into trouble.
Yeah, we did. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm angelic now.
Yeah. I'm not, but that's okay. God's grace.
God enormous grace.
Yeah. So, but we really hit it off, and we actually, when we got together that day, we talked about doing something together. Do you remember that?
That was a while ago.
It was a long time, like 5 years ago, I think.
Yes, about.
And here we are 5 years later, and we're doing Bella. Bella Gifts, and a lot of that is because we both have a real heart to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And Bella, the name Bella came from the fact that we are both of our life has really been defined by inner and outer beauty.
Absolutely.
And really emphasizing the fact that inner beauty is even more important than outer beauty.
Yes.
And while we can look good and we can get all dressed up and fixed up, inner beauty is even more difficult because it's dealing with your stuff, which is not easy to do.
No.
And it's also talking about forgiveness. It's talking about, what are some of the other things when you talk about inner beauty?
Well, one of the major things I'll always say is beauty is God encoded deep in your DNA. And to really feel that, and one of the biggest things I always say is when you look in the mirror, it just, I always say for myself is I want to see less of me and more of God. And that's it's just the less of me. Less is better in everything.
Yeah, less of me, please.
Less of makeup, you just look better.
You wouldn't know it right now by our photo shoot.
Yeah, but
our video shoot, but
for the most part,
we're running around the house. We're not running around with lots of jewelry on.
No,
we're pretty
but it's fun and it's okay. It's about balance, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is you want to be able to look good. You want to look your best, but don't make it your overall big rule in life or whatever that is, because it's something it's inside. You really have to look in the mirror. And aging, this is my biggest thing, is aging is not a disease, it's a privilege, and I'm honored to be here, and I really feel thankful that I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, and my heart is to help others.
And I love that verse where it talks about in the Bible about where your treasure is, there your heart will be.
Yes.
And it's so much about the heart. Inner beauty is truly about the heart and where your treasure is. It doesn't mean we can't have fun and enjoy beauty and fashion and jewelry like we have here on Bella Gifts, but it also means looking in again to the recesses of your heart. Authentic beauty. I love that. Authentic, transparent beauty. So our stories, okay? That's not easy to tell in just a few seconds. I know if you have a story like it's a mini-series.
Yeah.
But my story was definitely the rebellious daughter. I grew up with parents who are amazing, wonderful parents, very loving parents who really have such a heart to reach out. They've been working with the homeless now for, gosh, it seems like 20 years maybe.
Wow.
And but I grew up in this home where I really took for granted what I had, the treasures I had. And I went out and just started doing a lot of stupid things, drinking, and all the things you do to try to discover who you are. I was on that journey of discovery, and the more that I ventured out into the world and made mistakes, the more I realized that the treasure I was looking for was really right in here. And it really is about your faith. It's about your faith. It's about that inner beauty, and it's really about discovering that you can be confident without being arrogant.
That's great.
And it took me a while to figure that out, but God He really had to humble me, and I really came to the place where I had nothing left, and all I could do was look up. And it was at that moment that God said, you have a choice. You can either choose life, the beautiful life, or you can continue down a road that's leading you to death. And it was at that time that I said, you know what, I want life. and I'm going to change my life. And since that day, it hasn't been the perfect journey. It's been a journey that's been perfected by him, and it continues to be perfected every day. We're all on that same journey, and we still make mistakes, we still fall down, but it's all about perseverance and getting back up.
Well, my story is about several books and a couple of mini-series long as well, but we'll go with the elevator speech, sort of. No. Mine started when I was little. My parents were divorced when I was 5 years old, and I just always felt like a man without a country. I would move from one state, from Connecticut, and then move to Florida because my mom lived in Florida every other year and went to many schools. So I got picked on a lot, and I was bullied to the max. I was
That's a big thing today.
Bullied big time, and to where it got so bad that I would get beat up, and it was awful when I was a little girl. It was just awful how mean people, and you know, hurt people.
Yeah, that can be.
Hurt people, and that's the way it goes. And then it went into high school, and a couple of really bad things had happened, and poor choices that I had made in high school that kind of shunned me until I had to quit because of that. And then more bullying came in, and it was just taking those wrong roads and just leading to nowhere, and not knowing the truth, because the truth is hidden from us in many shapes and ways and forms, and it was hidden from me, and I just took looking for everything in a guy, and
for those treasures,
looking for the and there was nothing there. And knowing that it was always inside
looking for
me.
love in all the wrong places.
There you go. It's that old song, and you know, and it
So
truly
true.
was. It really was, and knowing, and it was really sad because I would get better and then I'd get bad. It's like that cliche of, you know, I could be real bad, I could be real good, or whatever it was. And it led until my 20s, late 20s, like late 20s.
It's never too late though.
But it's not, it really isn't too late, but it was late for me, for myself, because, you know, I knew some of the right things and I still didn't do it. But the good news is somebody really cool took a chance on me, and that was my husband.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dream Hope Love is a foundation that we're launching that is about really working with young teenage girls. Both you and I, Shelly, have such a heart for young girls. And one of the things about Bella is that we really care about giving back. And we'll talk about the blessing exchange next. But what's really close to my heart, actually, and real quickly, my daughter went to an urban school briefly for about 6 months. And she was going to school with girls that were with babies at 13, 14 years old. They would bring their babies to school, and she'd always been in a private school, but we were in a situation, my husband is in urban outreach, and so we were in this very urban area, and it broke my heart to see all these young girls who didn't have a mother. And my daughter would say, "Mom, will you be their mother? Can I bring them home, and can we just have dinner together?" And my heart broke. And then I actually started talking to friends though that were in more affluent areas, and they're like, "Michelle, that's so many girls. It has nothing to do with whether you're poor or whether you're affluent. Yes. It really has to do with just the brokenness that we're seeing today with divorce and all the other things." And so Dream Hope Love is about that. It's about giving back to these young girls. It's about giving them role models. Because gosh, we need role models.
Absolutely.
If I would have had somebody at 18, 17, 16, 20, you know, that just could show me some of the things in life that I needed to know, it would have really changed my life.
Somebody just said that to me this weekend. We're like, "Where were you when I was 16? I was like, "Where was I when I was 16? My message now, but yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. You know, and they need somebody to look up to. And so we're going to do fashion, we're going to have beauty, we're going to have all the stuff that girls love, and yet we're also going to talk about the serious things. Yes. We're going to talk about how to move from surviving to success, about how to really focus on inner beauty, about forgiveness, about getting beyond your stuff. Yes. And so that's what Dream Hope Love is about. I'm excited.
Et moi, étendue dans ce lit, je contemple ce que je t'ai donné.
Well, the blessing exchange, it's kind of a cool concept, because what we're doing, I almost feel like it's pass it on. You want to pass it on. from like what our mothers had done for us to given and then given to us, and then we pass it to our daughters, or the daughters would pass it to their friends. And one of the cool things is, like, I will never forget a quick story of this woman was making a blanket, and she didn't realize that like the neighbor next door didn't have one, and it was an urban place, an urban area, and then she had, I don't know what happened, but she had called or was asking for something, and this lady came up to her door and just shared this blanket with her and said, you know, I made this, but I feel like I'm supposed to give it to you. And it's, to me, I just look at that and it's the blessing exchange. And then that lady will go ahead and in turn give it to somebody else. And it's just passing.
Yeah, it's just passing that it's being a life giver.
Yes.
And whatever you have, you may not have a blanket to give, you may have something else. But for us at Bella Bella, what we're going to do is we're actually going to feature one item a month that if you purchase it, we're going to go and find someone to give it to that's not as fortunate, that maybe couldn't afford that piece of jewelry or afford that item that you're buying, and we're going to give it away.
Yes.
I think that's cool.
That's really cool.
The blessing exchange. It's going to be fun.